to take some time to just share with you a little bit about Women with Grit. What is the story behind it? How do we get started with it? You know, I've got partner in crime here, Lee Willette.
Hey, what's going on?
And I'm Sherelle Lands, and we're just so excited about this concept called Women with Grit, where we interview just exceptional women within the community and around the world who are doing phenomenal things. So how do we get started with this concept, Lee?
Well, I think ultimately it was a reaction to COVID. We were literally working on a different concept that involved women and really helping women have the opportunities to progress in their careers, and we're really putting something together to do that. And we had all these people lined up to interview and to get information from, and COVID happened. And so.
That changed life for everyone.
It did, and so for us, we were talking one day, and so we were talking about what we're doing, and I said, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, and I'm thinking about doing this, and you said, okay, let's do it. And so Women with Grit came like
there it is. Big on execution, we make it happen.
Yes, so it's been exciting.
Yes, it has. We've had just phenomenal guests even over the last year, and looking forward to all that's coming ahead. So how can they reach us?
They can reach us on YouTube, Exceptional Women with Grit. You can subscribe to our page. You can check out our Facebook page, Women with Grit, or you can go to our website, womenwithgrit.com.
That's it.
And the best way to catch us is Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, when Sherelle and I are live with our guests. And literally, I think the most exciting thing for me is what we talked about. We wanted to have a program that brought in women from around the world. So that's our globe here. We literally interview people in Bogota, Colombia, over in London, and then all over the United States as well. So that's been exciting. That's one of the benefits of COVID. Everybody's used to this virtual world, and nobody feels like they have to fly in to be live in the studio.
That's right. So hopefully you will join us live or catch the replay, right?
The replays, that's right. We have a bunch of replays, and I mean, if I were you, I would binge listen. People binge watch on Netflix, binge listen and watch Women with Grit. There have been some phenomenal interviews and some phenomenal tips that will help anyone. We have men and women that watch.
That's right.
And I think the tips that you get, the things that you learn from these women that are our guests will help anyone advance their careers, advance their lives, and just really live a full life and a happy life. And I think that's exciting.
Yes, I would agree 100%. So if you're interested, definitely join us, follow us, engage with us, like us, share it, all of those things. And if you know a phenomenal woman or a woman with grit that you would recommend being on the show, be sure that you write us on any one of those forums, and a member of our team will get back to you.
Yes. So. And don't forget, if you have a product or service, a company that you want to promote or a cause, give us a shout. We're happy to do that. There is a cost. But it's not much, not yet. So you better get in while it's cheap.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. And so far, we'll see you online.
Talk to you later. Peace.
Bye. Well, good evening, everyone. Hey, Lee.
Hey, what's going on, Sherelle? How are you?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm great. It's been a minute.
Has it really?
It has been for me.
Oh, yeah, I guess it has. But it does feel like it's been even longer because of the holiday, I think.
Yes. Yep. Last week was the holiday, week before. Just so much going on.
There has. Well, how is everything going?
Man, everything is going well around here. Crazy busy with projects kicking off, and all of them are kicking off at the same time. Yeah. So that's some houses, a condo project, some land we just bought. So all that's going on. Kids are doing great. That senior in high school is getting multiple offers for college, which is exciting just to see him do that. And I have to run out shortly for a basketball game. It's senior year, so don't want to miss any of those.
No, you don't. Family first.
Indeed. So just excited to be here today, though. How about you? How's everything in your world?
Been going well. You know what? I had a minor slip, but I'm good. You know what? Actually got an amazing message out of that.
Okay.
share that another time. But
All
yeah,
right.
slipped down all 17 stairs and got a nice little bruise out of it. But I'm good otherwise. You
Okay.
know what? I'm thankful. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. Happy to interview another amazing woman tonight, Miss Cynthia
Yeah.
Whitfield Story. So I can't wait to bring her up.
Yep. That's exciting. I tell you what, I don't know if you watch The Voice, but
I
there's
don't.
a woman named Wendy that's on The Voice.
Mm-hmm.
She had a slip and fall last week, and
Mm-hmm.
she sang yesterday, and I think she had a broken wrist. I mean, she had her cast and bandages on. That woman can sing. So
Wow.
yeah,
Sometimes you got to sing through it. It almost
you
gives
do.
you a little bit of extra energy to push through it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So
So
she was
I,
exciting to listen to yesterday.
I don't put it on. I don't blame anyone for
Nope.
it. But
Nope.
so thank you all for joining in. Hopefully, if you're just checking in, we want to make sure that you get an opportunity to share this with others. We have again another amazing woman with a unique story of grit that we will bring up here shortly. Feel free to share the link. If you're on Facebook, you can reach us at www.facebook.com/exceptional women with grit. You can also find us on YouTube as well as Facebook. What am I missing, Lee? LinkedIn, as
Website.
well as
Yep.
the
LinkedIn and the
website,
website. Yeah.
www.womenwithgrit.com. And be sure to go ahead and grab your favorite beverage of choice, strap in for the next hour because you will have a dynamic time. We guarantee it.
Yes,
So if
indeed.
and if you guys are here in the chat function, you know us. We love engagement. We love the fact that you want to get to know our guests as well. So drop the city and state that you are joining in from. We want to make sure we say hello to you. So hello, Alicia. Hello, Brenda, Justin. I see Jay as well. If you are in, definitely feel free to engage with us so that we can say hello to you as well. Hey, Sharonda.
Hey, Sharonda and
Good to
Alicia.
see
Hey,
you.
everybody.
That's right. So anyway, we can jump back on into it. So Lee, let's jump over to our sponsors. You want to tackle the sponsors this evening?
Yeah, let's kick it off with MJC Insurance Group, mjcins.com. Holler at Brianna at MJC. And you just go to their website, mjcins.com. If you can get a quote, if you need to reach somebody, just message them through the website. And the great thing about them is they're not just going to shop one company. They can shop over 30 companies to find the right fit for you. And they're professional. So anything from car insurance, motorcycle insurance, business insurance. Had a guy reach out to me yesterday, Corey Bill. He had a client that needed business insurance, and that could be workers' comp, any type of risk insurance that you need for your company, E&O, which errors and emissions, your directors and officers. So any type of coverage that you need, give Leon's team a call or a message at mjcins.com. Terrell Perry at MoletteInvestmentServices.com. Hey, Terrell is on board and ready to help you get life insurance. He's also ready to help you get your financial investment house in order. Don't let it just keep being a dream and something that you talk about because it sounds good. Actually do it. Implement,
That's right.
Sherelle. Implement.
That's right.
And get it going. I'm using Sherelle's words right now. But implement, get it going, get your plan going, get on the plan. That's how you build wealth.
That's right.
So check them out at Terrell, Terrell, at Molette, Mollette, investmentservices.com. Terrell at MoletteInvestmentServices.com. And of course, my partner in crime, Sherelle Lands, SherelleLands.com. Check her out. She's got books, she's got classes, she's got everything you need to move your business forward, to help you get planned, help you think through some things, and to implement and get moving. So check her out. She's got a new book coming out. We'll hear about that in the weeks to come, and just looking forward to hearing about that as well.
Yeah.
Also, want you to check out thetableaction.com. You just got to check out the website. We're over 225, 230 members in a year. In our first year out, it's phenomenal. Some great things are happening. People are making some phenomenal connections with people that really want to help them move forward. So we're truly working to help build prosperity with people of color. Just whatever we can do to help increase the level of prosperity for people of color in Middle Tennessee. So do it. Check them out. Thetableaction.com. And what else do we have? Wealthy Wednesdays. It's coming. We recorded a few of them. Yes, I've gone on and recorded some. For some reason, I keep getting this new stuff coming in on recording days. But I think we have 3 of them recorded right now, so it's coming.
Yeah.
But check us out very soon, very, very soon. All right, Sherelle, back to you.
On YouTube. Okay, well, I definitely want to make sure that we give you guys the woman of the hour. You guys came to hear from Miss Cynthia Whitfield Story. So I just want to tell you a little bit about her. Then we're going to bring her to the stage and have just some fun conversation. But while I'm doing this, again, feel free to drop the city or state that you're joining in from, or even the country. I know last week we had a couple join us from South Korea. So it's always amazing when we hear from other countries as well. So we want to hear from you. Okay. So for more than 30 years, Cynthia has been dedicated to coaching, supporting, and mentoring leaders. She believes that authenticity is the key to strong, effective leadership. Paired with her ability to integrate strategy development with a people-first approach, these components drive unique solutions to challenges that establish accountability and achieve business results. Cynthia retired from Allstate Insurance Company as the field senior vice president of the Southern region after holding various leadership positions in operations, accounting, finance, risk management, and product operations. In her role as vice president to the Southern region, she was accountable for business results for the states of Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana, including all profit and loss results, as well as managing a revenue stream of nearly $2 billion and a team of over 2,500 leaders and team members. Awesome. Love that. A New Jersey native, Cynthia earned a degree in business administration from Rutgers University and a master's in management from Indiana University. She's a Hogan certified and completed the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the Workplace certificate through the University of South Florida College of Business. Committed to giving back to her community, Cynthia serves as the board chair-elect for the Nashville YWCA. She's on the executive committee and a major sponsor for the Amend Together program, a board member and on the executive committee for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee, a member of the Leadership Nashville, and served on the board of directors on the Advisory Committee for Advancing Women in Nashville, a board member for 50 Forward, and co-chair for the Women Business Collaborative Nashville Advisory Council. Amazing. Cynthia, you're busy. I get it though.
Big time.
Love that. So thank you for your service. Cynthia has also received several awards and recognition for her volunteer efforts, including being named one of Nashville Business Journal's Women of Influence, being honored by the Amend Together and the YWCA as their Person of the Year, and receiving the Big Brothers Big Sisters Jimmy Webb Volunteer Leadership Award. So without further ado, we bring to the stage Miss Cynthia. Hi, how are you?
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks. I see some of your Allstate people on here. Floyd Gibbs, for sure, and his wife, Felicia.
Yes. We all need insurance. You started out with that, and I totally agree with it.
Yeah. So great to see you today. How are you? How's everything going in your world?
You know, things have been busy. Just finished with Thanksgiving, but catching up. You know, I started this new business in March, and I'm like the two of you, not as busy, but getting there. But just having a ball, doing some things that I love, what I have passion around. And, you know, Sherelle and I have had numerous conversations when I first started. It's like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, but help me. You know, so one of the things I say to people, you got to reach out and talk to people before you start getting your engine going, because you could go in the wrong direction. So
that's it.
People
that's
have
true.
always been willing to help. So and I thank her for that.
Yep. Don't want to start off going left if you need to be going right. So
exactly.
It's a much longer journey if you do that. Now you're retired, and so is this what you envisioned yourself doing at retirement?
Absolutely. You know, I started with Allstate. That's the only company I worked for my entire adult life. But during that journey, what happened was people started asking me to coach and mentor people. And if they were on the high potential list, you know, they'd send them over to me. And I kept saying, there must be something here. You know how you have to sit back and kind of do a self-assessment. And I did that. And I started realizing that I was helping people fulfill their dreams, helping people get to the other side, building a bridge, maybe changing careers and sometimes changing companies, because sometimes that happens too. You're just not a right fit for that. So I realized probably 3 or 4 years ago that this would be a good fallback for me once I retired. And I was going to retire in 19 and got talked out of it by my boss, and went last year, and it's just been wonderful. I opened up my consulting firm, Inspire One, in March 15th to be exact.
Okay.
And I had my first client by April 1st.
Hey, there you go.
I'm excited, but this is the work that I love. I mean, I love the P&L, I love the business part of everything, but the people piece for me and the development of people, especially people of color and women, has really been my passion. And it continues to be today, even outside of, I call it semi-retirement, Lee, not real retirement. I tried it for 32 days and it did not work.
Didn't go too well.
No, that was it. It's like, okay, I'm done.
Gotcha.
Yourself. Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I'm intrigued by this. So Ron Corbin is a good friend of mine, and I know he preceded you in the role that you were in. I don't know that the title of what you all do, because it seems like you're like field leader. So it just seems like you're, it seems like kind of I don't want to say a supervision, but I don't know that people really get what that means in Allstate. So I want you to kind of explain what that really means with Allstate. But the second thing, this is one of the premises that Sherelle and I, when we started Women with Grit, we were working on something else. What did Allstate do to prepare a woman, and not just a woman, but a woman of color, to ascend to this position? I think people will understand my question once you explain what that position was, and then understand what Allstate did, because that's something that other companies keep saying that they want to do, but they haven't been able to figure out how to do it.
Okay, great question. So I would say for me, I was always a person at Allstate that always wanted to do something more. Put me in coach. I can do this, right? I mean, we talked about your son earlier. So in my almost 40 years, I had 17 different positions.
Wow.
And they were all, so I did claims, I did accounting, I did finance, I did training, I did development, you name it. I was like, okay, I can learn this. So it's really, to me, about developing yourself as a general manager and also strong on the business acumen. So that's kind of where I started. And I've helped open up an office for risk management around the country. We did a centralization in Ohio, got back almost 20 years ago. And from that, I realized that, starting an organization from scratch is pretty challenging and pretty difficult, but it gives you skills that you'll never get with your day-to-day routine. So, hiring people, 406 people to be exact, that we had to hire in 6 months. I was over that body of work. So Sherelle, talk about execution. You could not miss a beat in that scenario. And the train was still running. So you were transitioning, consolidating, and you had to hire people and get them up and running. But the role that I had as the senior field vice president is really what I say was 14 regions. And we all had, I would say, 14 mini companies where we handled everything from soup to nuts. So we had claims, we had finance, we had marketing, we had the communications, we had legal people, HR, and then we had sales leadership, and then we had all the agents in those 5 states, all state agents, and then we had independent agents, which you mentioned earlier today. So you're talking about trying to collectively put all that stuff together and make sure at the end of the day that you're profitable, you're growing, you're putting resources in the right place. If there's a growth opportunity, was Nashville for me, when I had Tennessee. And really, Jackson, Tennessee was another place. So really trying to find growth opportunities and market opportunities where you can grow your product and grow your premium and grow your customer base. So it was to me, I look at it as running a corporation that was, a little over $2 billion.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
And essentially the CEO of that entity, not just that's why I say just the terminology.
Titles are misleading. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. We were always 14 mini CEOs, and then you had the corporate people that were the real CEOs, right? But at the end of the day, we all ran a region that had multiple states, sometimes single state. Like California was a single state, New York was a single state because they they were, pretty large in comparison.
Right.
But yeah, I think being a mini CEO of your own P&L and managing P&L is quite challenging, and it has not been done by a lot of females.
Right. Yeah.
Even in Allstate's environment, I had a few women that were mentors for me that had the role, and I just went to them and said, "Hey, I want to do what you're doing one day. Would you mentor me?" And you know what? Not one person turned me down. So I would say to the listeners today, take your career in your own hand, talk in your own hands, talk to people, ask people, to help you and support you. But I think that it had a lot to do with how I got to that role. And I had mentors, but I also had sponsors. I always went after sponsors that I would sit in a meeting and they would be the people that everybody would be talking to, going to, listening to. So I'd be just sitting there taking notes, like, so I mean, I'm a student of life, I love to learn, but I strategically would say, okay, I need to get to know this person, because in that meeting, which was huge, they were the pipeline for everybody to go through. And you know what? In about a week or two, I'd sit down, I put my stuff together, I call them up, make an appointment, and have a 15-minute conversation and let them know what I was interested in and what I was trying to do. And that, I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to learn. Okay. And that for me was I think the catalyst for me that got me looked upon, and that people were going to be sponsors of me, because when they said, well, she understands the business, and not only does she understand the business, she understands the financial aspect of the business. So ladies, if you're out there, you have to understand the financial aspects and how everything integrates to making a profit or making a loss. And if you're losing, why are you losing? How are you marketing? What's your communication strategy to your client base, to your sales force? So there's so many moving parts, but when you put it all together at the end of the day, it should be really good on a balance sheet.
That's right.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
You said something which I think is so important. And then I definitely want to come back to your story of grit, because we want to make sure that we get and hear that from you as well. But you talked about being a student of life and being able to learn along the way. Can you speak a little bit more about why that's so important to be a sponge, regardless of where you are and regardless of what age you are in life?
I think you always have to be ready. Because you never know when a position or opportunity is going to come forward. So for me, when I decided to do this consulting business, the first thing I did was I started doing research. What are people doing? I want to do international work at some point in time. Who's doing international certification and things of that nature? So I'm a retired person for a little while, semi-retired, but you always want to be improving upon yourself. You're writing books, so you're doing investigation, you're doing research, you're providing knowledge. Lee's building all these companies and things of that nature, but he's got to learn about that. He just can't jump out there and say, I'm just going to buy a condo tomorrow. Well, maybe he could, because it is Lee.
I don't know about that.
So, I just think it's critical to keep your mind healthy, and then align with what your goals are, and then really build a strategy. And the key is, you can build all the strategy in the world, you can have all the learning, but if you don't have a plan and what you're trying to get to and what you're going to implement and execute, then, knowledge, you just lose the knowledge because you're not really using it. So I believe you have to learn, and then you have to do something with it.
Okay.
So going back to, I want to make sure, Lee, because I know you have to step away. Did you have anything you wanted to ask before I jump in?
I think the only thing I was going to ask, and I know where you're getting ready to go next, but you mentioned mentoring, and you mentioned sponsoring. When we started the table, one thing is, I was talking to Valerie, and she said, what people really need are sponsors, not just mentors.
Yeah.
But I don't know that people really understand the difference. Could you explain what the difference between a sponsor is and a mentor?
Absolutely, would love to. So I have been mentored to death. And what mentoring is sometimes you find a person that's going to help you with a project or a leadership skill that you need to develop. So they're working on, maybe one or two things with you. From there, I say, people should go from mentorship to coaching, that someone should be looking at you, providing direction, providing guidance, giving you an opportunity. Maybe it's a different role that you're doing or some other project work that you can be exposed to other people. Sponsorship becomes that someone that could have been your mentor, could have been your coach, But sponsors are the people that are making the decisions in the corporations. They are they're the big guns that they've looked around and they've said, okay, we need this person over here, or we just have an opening here. Who do we put in play? And that person is at the table, helping with that decision. So they can bring up your name and say, okay, you know what? Cynthia's done 17 different things. So maybe she's equipped now from a business perspective to do this work. So let's put her over here. So that person is actually helping you get to the next level, or get to a new assignment, or, do something different within the company. But they are actually saying, I endorse this person because I've seen them, I've worked with them, I've mentored them, and I coach them, and I've seen them grow, over the years, and they're ready to do this work. And that's how I got here. I had a dinner with one of my sponsors, and we were talking, and, and he said, are you mobile yet? And I was like, yes, I'm mobile. I'm ready to go. And he said, okay, we got something going on. I can't tell you, but we're going to put your name in the hat. So, or do you want to throw your name in the hat? And that's how I got to Nashville.
Oh, wow.
Just
okay.
Through talking to my sponsor, letting him know that, I'm doing this countrywide risk management. I did risk management for the entire country for Allstate back when I was in our home office, our corporate office, for about 3 years. And I really wanted to get to the field and kind of run my own deal because I had not done that yet.
Okay.
And he was one of the ones that we grew up together in risk management and underwriting. We were peers and so forth. So he had moved along the way, but we remained friends. We worked on different projects and stuff like that. And he always had me, looking out for me no matter what the situation was. And, we're still friends to this day.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Thanks for clearing that up. Hopefully that helps people understand really what the difference is between mentoring and sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was when Valerie, when she brought it up, I haven't been corporate in a long, long time. So, it wasn't something I was thinking about, but it did make sense to me. So Thanks for sharing.
But you still need all of them, though. I want people to understand you still need all of them, but don't, because there's sometimes, you got 15 mentors and you're still in the same spot. It's like,
right.
How much more can you learn from them? And then you just need to kind of advance. My dad used to say, if you're the smartest one in the group, then you need to shift your group. So, if my mentor can't get me to the next spot, I need to be moving towards someone else. But I tell people you got to take inventory when people are in meetings, and you have to be a student of what is going on so you can, who really, be honest with you, who's got the power in the room.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very obvious. And sometimes the people that have the power don't look like us.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just be comfortable within yourself and with your group. You have to go to other groups that have the power and talk to them and let them understand what you're about. And develop a relationship. I think sometimes people don't develop relationships because they're not comfortable unless somebody looks like them. And, you have to push people out of their comfort zone.
Right. Yeah, very important. Obviously, something we're trying to do at the table is to just kind of introduce people so that they can become comfortable with other people.
Create a bridge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, indeed. Sherelle, for the big question, go ahead.
So, one of a few. So, Cynthia, tell us about you. This definitely is about learning more about you. Tell us your unique story of grit.
Okay, I got like 4 or 5 of them, but I'm just going to start with the one that I think many people can relate to. So my grit started with my parents. My father raised me as a tomboy girl. And it was like, you don't cry, you don't quit, you have values, you have goals, you make your bed up, you get your allowance, we take it to the bank. So I learned how to do finance, as a 5-year-old. I learned responsibility. You can't go out and play until everything's done. So that is my foundation. That's where I got from my parents. And then my mother slipped some extra stuff in and so forth. So that's my basis for everything that I do. I was the first person in my family to go to college. My mother started, she didn't finish. My dad did not, go to college. He went to the service and so forth. But for me, it was never a question, do I go to school or do I not go to school? It was just, you're going to college, and, there was no conversation about that. So, within that, I started in accounting, and I decided I really loved marketing, advertising, and business. So that's kind of where I honed in my skill set. And then while I was in college and even in high school, I worked at an insurance agency. One of my neighbors was an entrepreneur, African American in our neighborhood. And I went to him, and again, you just got to ask sometimes, people. You just have to ask. And I said, Steve, I'm babysitting and all that stuff, but I really would like to get a job because I need to buy a car. So it's all around goal oriented, right? But anyway, I worked for this gentleman and his family. I think it was my junior and senior year in high school. And then through college, I did some work in that, but it was all in insurance. And what I found out is that I really loved helping people because you're protecting their most valuable things. It could be a car, it could be an apartment, it could be a home, it could be their life, their life. So that for me was very powerful. And it wasn't that I ever thought I would be an insurance person. Like when you're a kid, you don't say, oh, I'm going to be an insurance. I never thought of that. But I decided when I graduated that I was going to stay in insurance and interview. We didn't have cell phones back in the olden days, as my daughter would say. So I'd get the phone book. I went through, I started with the A. So I got Aetna, Allstate. There was another company, and Allstate paid $500 more than the other one. So I went for 500. Now, I didn't divide it by 12 months because it would have been pennies, but 500 sounded like money to me. But what I can tell you is the grit for me started with, I just needed to get a job because my dad was like, okay, you got a month to get a job. So, okay, get a job. And then, I started in the claims department. I really didn't love it. And I kept saying, this can't be all it is. I've done all this other stuff and work and everything. I want to do something else. So I went and talked to a manager, which I didn't know that was not allowed. When you're young, you don't always know what the roles are.
Right.
And, I heard about this position in accounting, and it's going to be a supervisor. So I did get in a little trouble for that, to be honest with you, but I still got the job.
Hey, there you go.
So you got to take a risk. So I got the job, moved through that, moved through accounting. I'm proud to say I was the first African-American female in the state of New Jersey that was an accounting division manager. So again, trying to help people see me and others that look like me and the ability to advance. And then I did a lot of different roles and things of that nature. But what I can tell you, I got to a place as the higher up I went, I was more in a male-dominated environment.
Right.
And it became a little bit more of a challenge to maneuver through some of the political things that were going on. So I'll give you an example. I had been granted a position in a leadership development program, and I went to another department to learn how to, do certain things. And I had been there for a couple of months, and the big boss called me into his office, and he said, Cynthia. So this is where my true grit really made me really understand. I'm gonna share this with you. And he called me and he says, you know what? I've been watching you over the last couple of months, and I'm feeling pretty good, making progress. He said, you're learning, you're good at communicating, you understand numbers. I've seen you present, and I'm saying, okay, I'm thinking these are good things. And then he said to me, I'm so happy because when we talked about this, I didn't know that you could do all those things because as a Black female, I wasn't sure that you could really do that.
Wow.
So think about that conversation. And I'm sitting there saying, what do I do with this? So that's when I realized at the end of the conversation was that, do I say thank you? I appreciate, I didn't know what to say. So I just told him, I said, listen, I'm going to continue to do good work and learn. And I got up and I went to ladies' room and I went to my car and I cried like a baby because I felt at that point in time, I had to make a decision, right? So this is when my real grit kind of goes back to what my dad said, you don't quit.
Right.
You fight for what you want and you figure it out. So I go to my car, I come back, I clean up myself. And, I went through the job and I went through the day and everything, but it made me realize that I'm still going to run into obstacles like that because when people see you, they have opinions of you. So that's why I took diversity, equity, and inclusion in my business because I really wanted to understand the biases and all the things that existed out there. Because when I show up, people think a certain way, just like when everybody shows up, people have certain biases against you. But that's when I realized that you got to be the best no matter what. You got to understand your craft no matter what. You got to take a risk. And the last thing is you have to walk out in faith. And that's what I did. And that's what I based a lot of, the grit that I had to bring forward because I had to see him the next day.
Right.
Yeah. And, he's like, hey, everything's good. And I'm like, not really. Not really, but I'm okay because at some point in time, you feel that what you do brings forth what other people get an opportunity to do, right?
That's
So
right.
we have to be role models, and we have to build for the future, building a bridge. So you have to be that role model, and you have to step out on faith and get it done.
Right. Well, great. You're not going to believe this because I don't either. It's 7:30.
Really?
Yeah, it goes by so fast.
Goodness.
So we're going to take you back, Cynthia, to grab a drink, and Lee's going to thank our sponsors, and then we'll bring you up for the second half, and we'll have fun. If you got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat function. We'll be monitoring those so we can bring those up.
Thanks, Lee.
You're welcome. Thank you. So I have a question for you that I want you to think about when you on the break. When you think in terms of what advice would you give?
She came to come get you.
Yeah, she's a ham. So.
I'm not a ham.
So, but what advice would you give a young woman in today's environment that had a similar situation, and what they could do? Maybe do the same thing or do something or different, but just give us. I want you to think about that while we're on break.
Boy, he drops a big one, doesn't he?
I will be listening.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye. I see you, Mommy.
Hello, everyone. This is Kaya. Say hi.
Hi, Kaya.
All right. She's a 6-year-old. All right. Well, we want to thank our sponsors real quickly. First of all, we want to thank MJC Insurance Group, MJCINS.com. Give Brianna a call over at MJC. The best thing to do is really to reach out to her through the website, MJCINS.com. One of the cool things about them is, having been working with them for a couple of years, is that they'll call you when they find a better opportunity for you. So when you're thinking in terms of auto insurance, motorcycle insurance, your summer home or your regular home, give MJC a call. Also, we want to thank Terrell Perry at Mollett Investment Services Group. Terrell, TERRELL at Mollett Investment Services.com. One of the great things about Terrell is he's waiting to hear from you. He wants to help you get your life insurance together. He wants to make sure you get your investment plan together, all the things that you keep saying that you're going to do every year. And before you know it, the year is up and you haven't gotten it done. So get your investment house in order, start building wealth. And so that one day when you sit back and you're ready to retire, you're able to. That'll be exciting, and you're not doing a GoFundMe because you didn't have life insurance. So give Terrell a shout at Terrell at MollettInvestmentServices.com. Also, we want to thank Sherelle Lands, SherelleLands.com. That's my partner in crime, and she is ready to help you with any of your business planning that you need to do, strategy planning, but more importantly, she wants to make sure that whatever you all come up with does not sit on the shelf. You actually implement it and you see the benefits of it. So execution is her main word. So if you go to Sherelle, plan to execute. And then we want to thank The Table. Check out thetableaction.com, thetableaction.com, and just check out what we're doing on with The Table. And I think it'll be a benefit to you. So check it out, thetableaction.com. And Sherelle, back to you. And I'm going to sign off, everyone. I will see you all soon. I'll be listening in, though.
That's right. Lee is headed to some family business. We believe in family first. Wishing him the very best. Make sure you let us know. Hopefully, he'll bring home a win.
Indeed. Thank you.
Bye, Lee.
Bye. See you all. All right. I'm listening in, Cynthia, on that question I asked.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to bring back up Cynthia so we can take it into the second half. Hopefully you guys are still in. And as you are listening in, feel free to share this with those who would love to actually hear from us and be able to glean from Cynthia. So welcome back, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So we'll start by answering the one question that Lee left off with, which was, tell us about what advice would you give to another woman who found herself in a similar situation that you were in?
Okay. Well, I think a couple things they can do. Number one, is there someone that they can talk to? Does Does HR, understand, what's going on? Did you have someone that you can have a conversation with about how that made you feel and go through it from that perspective? Because HR is there to support you. I think there's other things that you can do as far as talk to an ally, talk to someone that can understand that. And if you have enough confidence in yourself, you can talk to the person and let them know how you felt and that was not an appropriate, response or something of that nature. Because I ultimately did have a conversation with that individual about a month and a half later on about another issue. Because at some point in time, it wasn't going to stop. So I think, you have to just make sure you have resources that you can go to. And sometimes, you have to evaluate your environment that you're in. Are you in the right company? Do they have the right environment? Those of you that are looking for companies to go to, talk about the culture and the environment. And is it, open to women and things that are going on in the world? I think it's good for us to do our research up front.
Right.
So hopefully that answers Lee's question. And he'll let me know.
Yeah, and he's listening in. He did send a note saying that he is listening in. I think that is so important. And, I pause about this because similar to you, I've had that experience, those off-colored kind of remarks, or just the aspect of expectations. And at the end of the day, someone else's bias doesn't have to become your reality or our reality. It's unfortunately the nature of it, but you walk in your truth, and in walking in your truth, eventually people will see or not, and that's okay. So tell us a little bit about, like, when it came to you ascending through your journey, any self-limiting beliefs that you felt you had to overcome as a part of climbing, as a part of exuding that grit?
I think the thing that I had to really get my head wrapped around was being my authentic self. It took a little while to get there, but once you arrive and you know what it feels like, you know what it looks like, it's a destination that you don't want to leave. So I would say, for my first 10 or 15 years, I was figuring out, what it was. But at some point in time, I decided I was going to be a servant leader. I was going to be authentic. I was going to be family first. And I was going to lead that way. And that was very helpful for me as I took on leadership roles and had people, that reported to me and things of that nature. They really enjoyed that work environment.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then at the end of the day, people will receive based off of who we show up as each day. So I appreciate you saying that. As a leader, a fellow leader in corporate America, and now turned entrepreneur, small business owner, what do you feel is missing in order to support women better, or in order to support people in general?
So I actually wrote some stats here because that is one of my pet peeves around, what's missing in corporate America. So I'm just going to read a couple things to the audience. So, I really believe that there is a huge opportunity for us to do things differently, especially with COVID, because COVID gives us freedom to maybe look at things a little bit differently. But the one thing that I really believe is that we got to get more women to come back to the workforce. So we have nearly 3 million American women have left the labor force since COVID. That's 3 million.
Wow.
And the main reason is because of lack of childcare, adequate childcare, schooling, you don't have teachers and things of that nature, but, we don't have a system in place. So I think companies really have to start looking at that and saying, okay, if I want women in the workplace and I want to advance them and I want them to be in my C-suite and things of that nature, I really need to have some type of childcare system set up for them and their families, because, there's men that also are stay-at-home dads and things of that nature. But what does that have to look like? And how can they build that? And maybe it's something that they can do in a collaborative state, so that there's something that is generic throughout, businesses, that they can do something. And I think it has to be very flexible. I think the other thing that I would say corporate America has to do differently is really around equal pay. And that's been something that's been near and dear to my heart for many, many years. But equal pay for women, who are doing the same jobs as their male counterparts. So again, another stat that I just want to share. It says the Institute for Women's Policy Research estimates that equal pay will not be reached until 2059.
Hmm.
So just think about that.
2059. Wow. And we are in 2021 now.
Correct. So that's a long time.
That is.
That's a real long time.
That's a fight for the future generations because we won't be in the workforce at that point.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. But I want people to get their heads wrapped around that. The other thing is another stat is the Bureau of Labor Statistics states that there has been improvement over the years as far as that's concerned. But in the third quarter of 2020, so during COVID, women's weekly earnings were still only 81.7% of men's weekly earnings. So we've made some progress, but for me, it hasn't been enough. Because if you look at financial stability and legacy and wealth, things that you're trying to do for your family, all that stuff impacts you now for the future. So I believe those are the two areas that I would love for corporate America to really dig in collectively and do something about differently.
And those are some very big ones and ones that we absolutely need laser focus on to make progress, especially to come in long before that statistic, right? There's really no reason why 2059, I think it was that you quoted, should be the reason at that point that equal pay is achieved and reached. That's just, that's interesting. But thank you so much for sharing that as well. So Cynthia, I'm kind of coming back to you. When it comes to your inspiration, who or where do you draw energy from? Who or what inspires you to do what you do?
So I have quite a few people, but I'm going to start with my parents. They're both not, they're not with us anymore, but they're still with me in my heart. So they inspire me. I hear them every day. My daughter inspires me. I have some friends that are doing phenomenal work. And they inspire me. But I think at the end of the day, I believe that I get all of my inspiration from my faith. My faith carries me through everything that I do. And I really try to have a faith-based business. And that's why it's called Inspire One. And that motivates me and inspires me. My clients inspire me every day when I see growth on their parts also.
That is awesome. Faith is a big one to me as well. Okay, so I want to make sure we get an opportunity to get some of the questions from our audience. So if you are listening in and if you have any questions for Cynthia, please feel free to leave them in the chat function and we will be sure to get them over to her within the next couple or the next 10 minutes. And then I want you guys to, use your reactions if you can. If you agree with some of the statements that Cynthia is making, if you're enjoying this, give us a heart, a thumbs up, a like. We definitely love to hear from you as well. So Sharonda Scott has a question and she says, how do you get the same experience as you did, but from a different starting point?
Okay, let me make sure I understand how to get the same experience as you did, but from a different starting point. I think the biggest thing is you just have to pursue differently than what we normally would pursue. I think that there's opportunities for us to change our trajectory. And the key is you got to go get it. You have to look at what you want, talk to people, get the support that you have, and then ask for the experiences, ask for the opportunity.
That's it. Make the ask. Be comfortable speaking up and be comfortable, like you said, asking for what you need. So thank you for that. Okay, so she had a follow-up question for you as well. It's great to be with a company starting from the beginning for such an expanding environment, but you don't always get the experience. How does that change?
I think you have to understand where your company is going. What is the direction that your company is going? Do they have development plans within your company? Are there development opportunities? Are there stretch assignments that you can see and do something for and raise your hand? I think, I've been in environments where there was not always opportunity. So what I would do is I would sit there and identify gaps during conversation. So if we had a problem with, a security issue, or we had an audit problem or things of that nature, I would raise my hand and create my own experience and sign up and say, you know what, I'll take that and let me see if I can figure out where the gap is and what procedures and processes that we can do. And I can actually build an action plan and share that with people. So there's times you have to look around in your environment and identify opportunities that you can kind of plug in and play at a different level and make things better.
I love that you said that. It's about being able to seek out those opportunities because they don't always come to you. It's you have to kind of position your mind to see them, or like you said, see the gaps and see in between the lines as well. So, as you have looked at transitioning from corporate now to the entrepreneurial space, what what's been one of the biggest challenges that you have encountered in making your shift?
You and I've talked about this. So my biggest challenge initially was I had a staff that helped do a lot of, people did technology, people did communications, marketing, and so forth, and having to do all of that stuff myself was my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge now, which is also a gift, is managing the amount of people that are wanting my services, which is great. It's a blessing. So the challenge initially was, I can't tell these people no. So you try to take on more than you can handle. So what it's done is it's created an opportunity for me to expand my staff. So I now have gone out to additional contractors, and they're working with me on projects. They're working on putting content together, putting the presentations, making all that stuff pretty. But there's an expansion going on, and you just have to bring in other resources. So that's been my solution to that.
Is expand as you expand.
Correct.
I love that.
And people want to get better, and you want to help people. So you have to figure out a way not to say no, or you say, okay, I can't do it in November, but I can take you in January. So that's been another thing that I've struggled with, but I've gotten better with it.
It's the not now.
Yeah, but it's not no, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, now let's kind of delve into that. Both you and I are strategists, and sometimes I think as business owners kind of look at that space of strategist as such a broad term, a coach. And why do you feel it is so important to have a coach? You talked about the sponsor aspect of it, but whether it's an individual that's going through corporate, and then even as an individual that's in the entrepreneur space, why do you feel it's so important to have a coach?
It just helps me get better. It gives me a safe place to go and talk to someone. And I have actually 3 coaches, because my husband also is an executive coach. So he gets to help also. But it gives me a place that helps me do brainstorming. It helps me think differently. I just was taking a session at Georgetown University, and I was with one of the coaches today, and we decided we were going to be each other's accountability coach with the information we've learned over the last 12 weeks. But it gives you someone that keeps you on point, keeps you focused, and helps you integrate the new information that you've gotten and how do you use it, and just to learn from. I still call a lot of people and say, hey, I've been in this thing now 7 months. I'm doing this. How does that compare to where you think I should be, and so forth. But I'm always seeking now others' advice because I want to learn. I'm still in this learning mode.
Yes, and I love that. And for me, my coaches like you, I have multiple ones as well, but I feel, hold the mirror up. They keep me honest. They are comfortable calling me out. They're comfortable with saying, okay, Sherelle, like, for example, I talk a lot with my hands. And sometimes I know when I give presentations, it's, dialing it back, because depending upon cultural dynamics or things of that nature, that information is just helpful. And like you said, the more that we can position ourselves to learn and grow, the more that we can expand. And I definitely truly believe that as well. So we are, believe it or not, almost out of time. I want to make sure if you guys have any further questions for Cynthia, please feel free to leave them in the chat function. I'll give the last call. And in the meantime, Cynthia, how can our guests engage with you? What is your website so they can follow you? How do they connect with you?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you. Thank you for this evening. I can't believe the time is already over. So here's my information. My business email address is cynthia@weinspire1.com. We Inspire One, it's the number 1, and it's all together. My website is cynthia@weinspire1.net. And I'm just going to give you my phone number, because I love chatting with people. My phone number is area code 615-630-4335.
One more time, 615.
615-630-4335.
Okay. Feel free to reach out to Cynthia, and they can reach out to you for what services are you offering?
Well, right now I'm doing executive coaching, leadership development, strategic planning, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then other duties as assigned. I've had a couple of project work that's come about, and if my team and I are comfortable, then we'll work on that too. And what I would also like to offer the people that are participating tonight, if you want to reach out, I would love to give you a 30-minute free assessment. Just to see if you have any needs or opportunity to talk to someone from a coaching perspective or any of the other areas that I have within my company. So that would be 30 minutes if you attended the first session today.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And you can reach her at cynthia@weinspire1.com, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you definitely reach out to Cynthia for that free 30-minute free assessment. If you are joining tonight, make sure that you do that. Or you can reach her by phone, 615-630-4335 as well. And thank you for that. Thank you for offering that free assessment as well. If you are invested in your development, you definitely want to go ahead and do that and make sure that you are on the path to continue to grow. If anything, it's the close of 2021. What better time to set and obtain your goals, excuse me if I could talk, than right now. So be sure to definitely connect with Cynthia. Again, her phone number is 615-630-4335, or you can reach her at Cynthia, CYNTHIA, at weinspire1.com. Okay, Cynthia, this has been awesome. I want to give a quick recap of some of the key points and things that I've captured, and then I want to give you an opportunity to leave the listeners with any final nuggets that you have as well. So what I've captured is a couple of things. One, take your career into your own hands, but also allow others to support you along the way. So have a vision about where you see yourself going and be comfortable being able to speak up about it. Seek out mentors as well as sponsors. And while mentors can give you an idea of where the landmines are, a sponsor is willing to hang their hat up or put their reputation on giving you opportunity. So be sure to have both of those in your camp. Become a student of life and be open to learning along the way, regardless of what season you're in, whether you're established in your career, whether you're established in your business, or whether you're just starting out. There's always something to learn. And the more that you can learn, the more that you can prepare yourself for expansion. You don't have to know all the answers. Just be willing to learn. Be humble enough to say, hey, I may not know the answers, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to sponge. Raise a hand and get the information that you need. Understand your financials. So as business owners, it is so important to understand your P&L, understand exactly how the odds and ends of it happen so that you can avoid that number one issue that businesses face, which is cash flow issues, right? So a lot of it comes from not knowing your financials. Always be ready and be comfortable doing research. So whenever it comes to transitioning or doing something different, be comfortable digging in and doing the research. Keep your mind healthy. Make sure that you're aligning your goals. And then also be willing to learn from your learning so that you can make the jumps that you're needed and that are needed in life. Be willing to get outside of your comfort zone. Know your craft and be comfortable stepping out on faith. Assess the culture and the environment of the corporate landscape that you're going into. And if it does not fit with who you are or the authentic person that you are, then consider whether or not it's the right fit. Be your authentic self. There's no one else like you, no one else that can do what you do. So show up as yourself and be comfortable doing that. A couple of things that she mentioned would be helpful as far as the corporate space goes. More women, the conversation about having more women come back to the workforce. So being able to address issues such as adequate childcare, being able to address the prevalent issue about equal pay for women. We definitely want to see the movement of that from the corporate space as well. Seek out opportunities to make the shift and change. Expand as you expand as well. And the last thing is really, is there, when it comes to the role that men play in the realm of women, or other nationalities, et cetera, cultures, is the ability to seek out and build relationships beyond your comfort zone as well. Cynthia, it has been amazing. I have one last question for you, and I want to make sure I ask this. This is one that Lee would definitely ask you as well. What do you feel is the role of men when it comes to supporting women and their advancements?
That's a great question. And what I think around that question is, I really believe that men have to be our allies, because allies really look at a person and then they support them in whatever initiative that they're trying to do. But if they can do the allyship for us and speak up, don't allow things to happen. So if they're hearing certain conversations or certain things stated about a woman under that allyship, you address it with other men. You don't let things like that just sit and play. And then the other thing I think under allyship is really that, are people being developed for that next role? Are people being identified for opportunities? And then I think the last thing from under allyship is really around looking at your total environment, especially if you are, at a higher level within the company and you have oversight of that. Do you have representation in every group? So if you start at the higher level to the lower level, what does that look like? And if it doesn't look like it's diverse, what can you do differently? And then what goals do you set up? And then who do you hold accountable collectively to close that gap from a diversity deficit?
I love that. And thank you for that. Are there any final nuggets that you would like to leave with our guests?
Yeah, what I would say, number one, thank you for attending. Two things. Invest in yourself. I think a lot of times we invest in other people, especially if we're moms and things of that nature. Everybody goes first. And I tell people, when you're on a plane, you put your mask on first. So I'm asking you all, put your mask on first. Make sure that you're investing in yourself and find someone that can help you. And it could be a friend, it could be someone within your workspace, but find someone that can help you understand the lay of the land. So entrepreneurship is a little different. I have to find people outside, and I've been able to do that. But a lot of times when you ask people for help, they usually will say yes. I've only had 2 people in 30 something years say, I can't help you at this point, including the CEO of our company. I just asked him one day, we happened to be on a trip, and I said, hey, Tom, I'm looking to do X, Y, and Z. And he says, give me a call. And we had a great conversation, and he helped me in that arena. So just ask for help. It's okay to be vulnerable.
I love that. Well, thank you, Cynthia. We are affectionately out of time, but it has been such an amazing conversation with you. And I definitely want to make sure that I give an opportunity, just some of the comments and things that have come out. Alicia said, thanks again. Great advice about reinventing yourself. Sharonda gave some kudos as well. Feloy Gibbs says, great lady, met her in 1993 at the regional office in the Nashville for Allstate. So you're getting lots of love along the way as well. Cedric Milliner says hello. Let's see, and I'll continue we'll put them up on the screen as we definitely chime out. But thank you all for joining in. We had Maryland, Massachusetts. We had a couple folks from Georgia as well as Tennessee and around the world. So
great.
So excited. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Again, you guys, Cynthia Whitfield Story, please feel free to connect with her as well. Her number is 615-630-4335. She is offering a free 30-minute free 30-minute assessment. So you don't want to let that slip by. Be sure to connect with her as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Cynthia, for your time. It has been amazing. And we thank you just for all of the work that you are doing to continue to impact the lives of others around the world. So thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Have a good night. We'll see you guys next week with another amazing woman with grit. Take care.
Take care.